South Florida, gateway to Latin America, where the white sand stretches for miles, and the roadside aids smack of unbridled racism. Such was the case as of this morning when the Sunshine State's drivers found electronic roadside signs on the Palmetto Expressway reading "No Latinos" and "No Tacos." Cockroaches known as hackers crawled into the networks, cleverly displaying their odiousness. Latino activist Ron Gochez joins us now. Mr. Gochez, you know about this story about these electronic signs by the road. No Latinos, no tacos. We've kind of hit a new low, have we not?
Yeah, I think this is one attack in a long historical process of attacks against the Latino community. So this is really nothing new. And this is not what worries me so much. What really worries me is more the attacks that are now coming from the official government, the more institutionalized racism that's coming down, not only in what's happening in Arizona, for example, with SB 1070, or what happens here in Los Angeles, for example, where last year the city of Los Angeles made $60 million off of basically the legal theft of the vehicles of people who are undocumented. But now we see at the federal level where today President Obama, who promises hope and change in his campaign in 2008, he did change something. What he did now, he ordered today is, of course, these troops to come down to the border. This is something that's a military attack against the communities of these border regions. So this is something that's very, much more than these taco signs or no taco signs. That's not what's my concern. My concern is what the federal government is doing today, an institutional racism and institutional attacks against our community. We know that in the last 15 years, more than 6,000 human beings have died at the border trying to cross to come to this country to work. So now with this additional troops being sent to the border, you can just imagine what's going to happen. I mean, we already have cases like the case of Ezequiel Hernandez, who was murdered by the U.S. Marines at the border on the U.S. side, and he was a U.S. citizen. So we know what's going to happen now is more attacks. Of course, coming from the Minutemen and these types of racist organizations, but now this is coming officially from the government, from the Democratic Party administration, who promises hope and change, but has given us nothing more than repression, more deportations, more arrests. So this is really concerning. So that's why today, the message that we have here, and we're pushing nationally, and we're definitely going to push this weekend in Phoenix and Arizona at the national mobilization against SB 1070, is that we're pushing the message. We're saying that to the Democratic Party or to any of the politicians, we're saying those who promise our community legalization and have not kept their promises of some type of immigration reform, we're saying, well, no legalization, no re-election. Don't think about coming into our communities asking for our vote if you didn't keep to your promises of legalizing our communities. So these attacks are nothing new. It's a historic process that goes way back from when the invasion of the United States to Mexico and of the indigenous people. And these attacks today are, like I said, are nothing new. And that's what we call for our communities to defend themselves, to organize themselves. So in our barrios, in our communities, we have to organize ourselves and defend ourselves. At the polls in November and beyond, we cannot continue to support the Democratic Party or any other political party that does not support the best interests of our people. We're tired of the false and empty promises. We want actions. We want immigration reform this year. It is absolutely mandatory that we have it this year because we have 12 million people living in the shadows who are being under attack. And this attack today in Florida, although it's kind of silly and really stupid, other attacks, like murders of our people like dogs in the street, those are not funny, and this is happening all the time all over this country.
Mr. Gochez, we don't have too much time. We have just about a minute left, but I want to bring up something, especially when you talked about your concern with the leaders as opposed to the people, just the regular people. Have you ever seen this level of, and I don't know if you can characterize it as apathy, when it comes to the leaders of communities, political leaders, leaders of cities, when it comes to the kind of rhetoric, the racist rhetoric coming from the commoners, the regular people? Have you ever seen anything like this before, this allowance?
Well, what we see is that right now it's very easy for a lot of people to come out against 1070 in Arizona, but in their own communities, these attacks are happening. For example, here in Los Angeles, where the deportations have gone up, or people's cars are being taken by the police simply because they don't have a license. So this is happening, not only the politicians, not only the racists, all over this country, but this is something that's happening, and the only solution to this is immigration reform. That's why we're saying that to any politician that wants to continue to count on the Latino vote, you have to come through on your promises of immigration reform.
Well, it sounds like, I mean, you guys are really getting to them, and hopefully that this will, I mean, your message at least will get to the leaders of different communities, different cities, different counties, different states, and even the federal government. Good luck with that, by the way. And once again, Ron Gochez, Latino activist, thank you so much for joining us tonight.